Because if you're just going to be stuck in the fuck the adoption, everything, like just stay in that, that doesn't allow for some higher self wisdom to come through. And we can do both. We can be activists and see the higher wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Can we hear more about like what you do specifically, Alison?
These days I'm traveling around and getting my PhD, been doing astrology, and most recently I was doing a lot of activism. And now I'm rebuilding my astrology business and putting out to the world about adoptees. I've been semi-involved since 2011. I was still living in New York City. And a little bit I went into the adoptee world. I haven't found my place. I found it to be really heavy, usually, often, not all the time. There are a couple of spaces. So like I made these contacts and different things, but I didn't feel like I was really part of the adoptee community and didn't really know how to do that. So yeah, I'm just recently trying to do that now. So, but yeah, the part of me that worked with artists, like, and then really went through my spiritual, like I've always been in spirituality, but then I did go through different, I guess, awakenings and different things happening, really weird things happening. And there was a lot of plant medicine at some point, like just different various experiences. And it was actually doing plant medicine that I left New York City after growing up near New York City and living there for 10 years. I guess I lived in the city for 10 years. I grew up right north of New York City, so always going in there. Stimulating, like I'd be on the subway and I'd be like, why all of a sudden am I like overwhelmed by the noises? And so I was changing and I wound up leaving New York City, but it's still my favorite place. Like it's hard to explain, it's New York. I've been driving around now for about 7 years, mostly in California. And as much as I love it there, and lots of places I love, I haven't really found like that home. And then like being an adoptee and what the word home means, like, and me being like an RV person, like it's kind of fitting. And it's easy to talk to, I think, because you're Pisces moon and stuff. I feel like I'm having to like try to explain it. And with you, I think it's more of a, maybe because it's the feeling sense, I don't have to try as hard to make it make sense.
No, You're right there. I feel the same way.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know where home. I mean, I'm not Tallahassee. I don't want to be here.
About home.
And I was bugging Steven the year before. I was like, why are we here? And then he applied to some fellowships, and we ended up in Greece last year, which was amazing. And that's where I met Jenna.
What's his thing? Oh wow. What's his thing?
He's a professor at FSU and he teaches ancient Greek and Latin. So he's a classics.
Wow.
Yeah, but that means we can go to Athens sometimes. And it felt really nice being there, but it's like, I don't know if that's home. So yeah.
Yeah. I've stopped trying. I have part of me, because I didn't even know, but I was looking for another home. I was like, oh, I'm sure I'll find another place to be. Yeah, New York. Like I went from New York City to Massachusetts, and then also just 2 hours north of New York City. So I grew up an hour north of New York City, and then I lived like 2 hours north. I'm not going to pick the right words. I don't know, too serious. I'm not sure, too conservative. I'm not sure what words to use, because it's a wonderful area. But I want to go to California and get like a chill vibe. And I spent a year in LA, a year in San Diego, and 2 years in San Francisco, and then a lot of time in Sedona and lots of places. But the back of my mind, I was like, oh, I'm sure I'll find another place. I like everywhere. I like so many places. I like Denver. I even like Utah. I liked Ashland, Oregon. It's like Montana was gorgeous. Like at this point, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm just a person of the world. What do they call that? A citizen of the world? Like, I don't even think I care anymore. Like, I'm gonna stop that. Like, oh, I didn't even. At some point, I was like, why haven't I found a place? And I'm like, I can't force it. Or it's the thing when you're finding a partner. It's like it happens what happens. I don't think you can force those things. So
I had this random thought for like 15 years that I should live in Montana. And I don't know why or where that comes from. I've never lived in Montana.
Flipping gorgeous. Yeah.
No, it's because of Glacier. Like Glacier National Park's one of my favorite places.
It's
but
insane.
You can there, you know? So I'm like,
could have this, like a little.
It's so weird that you said that specifically because
I wanted to, once I visit, I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And the glaciers aren't going to be around. The one thing I tell people, go see the glaciers because they're not sticking around.
say it.
That's what I tell everybody.
I just choose not to believe that. But
I'm sorry. Yeah. I can't. I don't know part of me that just.
True.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I felt really happy there, but I feel the same way.
Unbelievable.
Like, where is home? And what I'm doing right now that's like similar, and I don't know if y'all do this too, is, I mean, obviously I change my name all the time, but after getting in touch with my biological father and that side of the family and learning about the Rumbaws, like I've never connected with that name, but iterating in the past month, it came to me that I'm like, I'm Autumn Rumbaugh now. Because I started as Rebecca Schiffman, then I've been Rebecca Autumn Sansom for however long I've been in the adoptee community, like the past 5 years. But Rebecca Autumn Sansom's been very like kind of defensive and, you know, a hot mess at times, which is fine. More confident than Rebecca Schiffman, you know, who my adoptive name that's on my birth certificate.
Are you Jewish through a Jewish agency?
No, but my
Schiffman
father is the German Jewish. Yeah, is how, like, literally escaping the Holocaust is how they ended up in America.
That's wait, and you're talking about your adopted, right?
Adopted.
Yeah, because I'm yeah. Wow, there's so many. So I want to hear your story. I've been wanting to watch your documentary and now I can watch it. Like, I don't know why I put it off. So maybe I couldn't watch it. Now I can, I don't know. So I'll watch it. I just watched the first part.
Maybe you'll get what I'm saying more. But yeah, it's on YouTube now for free. So
and it has more of your story in it too. I'll get to it.
It does. Okay. So I'm not going to like go into my story, but I think that thinking about being Autumn Rumbaugh, because I've never connected with the last name Sansom either, like my married name. Like, why did I only changed it because I liked it more than Schiffman. I just like the way it sounded better, which I don't know if that's a good reason, but
why not?
Same thing, not feeling like you have a place. I've never felt like I had a name. But
this is so big for adoptees. Has anyone done, because the adoptee name thing is huge. It's such a huge theme. Yeah.
And my middle name on my birth certificate is Alison too.
Oh, wow.
Like my birth mom's name is Alison, and I never told Alison, but I was like, oh, that's
wow. Wait, you said your birth mom?
Yeah, but 2 L's. Oh.
Sure.
Mine's 2 L's.
That's Allison, everybody. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
Allison. I know.
There's like this weird beef between 1 L's and 2 L's. It's so strange. I don't know if you guys have that with other people it's the weirdest thing, honestly.
I have it with Jennifer sometimes because they're like, okay, middle name Jennifer, and I'm like, this is a loaded conversation if you want to talk about.
It's so strange.
But like the Autumn Rumbaugh and having so many U's and M's, I think is interesting too.
Oh, it's very like, I know it's OM, but it's very like OM, like you're like reclaiming it, like it's like I am connected, I am oneness. Yeah,
it's amazing. It sounds amazing together. Yeah,
sound that I'm like, wait, maybe that is, at least that's who I want to be right now. Because Autumn Rumbaugh, I was telling a Hollywood producer this last week who was like, why doesn't your film have 1 million streams yet? She's like watching, like it's not going to, but probably.
Can we watch the first like 15 seconds of it? Because it is so moving. Is there a way to do that?
You know, the word primal means from the very beginning. The connection between a child and the biological mother appears to be primal, mystical, mysterious, and everlasting.
From the very beginning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Part.
I watched last night. I watched the part one you put up.
So you know what I'm talking about then, Allison, that 15 seconds where it's like
the in the womb.
Yes, and it's like the beeping, and it's like primal. It means from the very beginning. Like, how could you not be affected? Like,
no, I mean, this is the thing. People don't get it. It's so weird how people cannot have empathy. They cannot. And even if you're, a very rare person can. I've been trying to understand. Someone I was doing activism with in the Bay, and they do all the things with me, the animals, the Palestine, and they were talking to me, and they actually were listening. Like, people like they don't really care. Like they ask you, but they don't really want to know. And I was like, well, adoptees, it's a colonialist thing where people are going and taking babies from other countries. And he was like, oh, he really got like, but most people, I find that I don't expect people to get it. I don't know. So
the first person that wasn't an adoptee that got it, in my experience, was an astrologer. The first professional astrologer that I worked with, when he was like, oh, like, let's talk about this Gemini moon and it's conjunct Chiron. And he was like, there's a mother wound here. And he was like, tell me about that. And I was like, well, I'm adopted. And like, full stop, he was like, oh, like he, and I was kind of like, still like ready to present it as like holding space for the rainbows and unicorns while not being overly like, it wasn't the focus of the meeting, but he full stop was like, that is so painful. And like, I was like, how do you know that? Like, it was, I was just shook by how validating he was as a person who has not experienced it. So
it really is. It's like only 1% of people we encounter. Why isn't it 99%? And
I try to think about that. Like, why, like, just like other isms aren't like, and you can see how, because you're working even with marginalized groups, you can see little changes, right, throughout our lifetimes. And I'm just going to ramble. This is what I think a lot about. So I looked up, like, autistic people make up, it's like 2 or 3% population, just like adoptees. But I don't know. I'm just really curious of why people, like, what is it about? It's something's primal about humans that they don't want to. Is it culturally? Are they so, what are they so brainwashed about that would panic them to think that there's like, what? They don't have any skin in the game. Why do they?
I wonder if it's challenging for the fact that, like, so here would be the test, talk to children about it, young children who haven't had that separation, that full separation. So like when you talk to an adult, like, oh, like this happened and it was traumatic, like they're so far removed from that experience, and they've gone through like the Saturn opposition where you're like, okay, I'm starting to individuate. They've gone through their Saturn return, and it's like they're so far removed from that time of life that it's, the severance has already happened within their own identity within the family unit. Like they've already gone out and individuated to some degree for themselves. So like to backtrack, they're like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would that be so painful? Because like, I only call my mother once a month. Like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? So it's like 5 iterations of themselves ago. So it's almost like they can't touch it. But then if you, like, in my experience, when I've talked to young children about it, not that I'm walking around talking to strange 5-year-olds about this, but when it comes up, they're very like, oh, like they can imagine it more. Like they're like, my mom gone? Like just some random person? Like, yeah.
I'd be scared to, I don't even know how to bring that up with kids. It's so like when I think about, but yeah, no, I think I brought that up with adults. I'm like, imagine the baby is taken, like, you never see that. Like, yeah, like I've tried a couple times.
I think you're onto something. And
I wonder if that's the spiritual part of it though, is like to imagine it as an adult, like you really do need to imagine the spiritual severance and all that entailed. And I think a lot of people are so out of touch with that part of their life.
I know.
And you'd have to regress them back to that to have the conversation, and no, you can't do that in small talk.
That is really, really interesting. The other thing I was gonna bring up is how often you guys, when I post about adoption, I have, people I know who are like, well, I never felt part of my family. I always felt like the black sheep, the outsider. And I'm like, I know that's rough, but I'm talking about something else. Like, yeah, that always.
Or like, I wish I was adopted. That.
Luckily, no one's told me those words.
Oh, I've gotten
Wow.
over that.
I get that from marginalized people who are activists too on other things, and they'll say the weirdest things about surrogacy and adoption that I'm like, I could go just as hard as you are on that, what you're doing about this, but I'm not going to cancel you, because I can't. But it's so interesting.
Yeah. I like that you brought up the overlap with surrogacy too. Like, that's
wow.
It's becoming more and more prominent and more prevalent. And I'm like, is this going to end up, and it already kind of has, replacing adoption? However, it's not actually fixing the trauma. Like, you're just shifting it. Yeah.
It's scary.
A lot of LGBT people.
Yeah.
Those marginalized people I'm talking to.
Yep.
So that's family building for them. And then
I was researching that last week. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because the big thing that came up on YouTube was a gay woman who is married, and she's trying to her whole TED talk is about why being a gay. She's in England. She was like one of the first. I think she was like in her region. She was the first. They were the first lesbian couple allowed to adopt a baby, and so the whole talk is just her trying to prove why it was so great for her to adopt. I think the kid did come from foster care, which I feel is a little different. It hurts because they're completely ignoring. Ugh.
Yeah. And the emotional labor that it takes for us to then correct or share experience, especially when there's a platform involved. The person then is like, not only do I feel threatened on a personal level, but you're publicly humiliating me. And then it just turns emotional and vicious, at least in my experience.
So is it good to DM then? Is that better? Because some situations it is better to do that, right?
I usually DM. It's interesting because in my homeschool community, multiple people are in the process of adopting infants right now. Yeah. Wow. And I'm like, like, it was to the point where I was like, I need to leave these communities because I cannot bear witness.
Multiple.
But then I was like, wait a minute, Jenna, these are the newest members of your adoptee community. Like, you have the opportunity, reframe, to show up for these infants and gently educate these parents, because like, it's kind of, well, one of them is now in a legal battle because kinship is trying to reclaim rights. And I'm like, well, I want to be a resource for you, but I also understand that the kinship placement is the do no harm, all other things equal, safety, etc. Like, it would be best to be in a kinship placement when the parents are unhoused and struggling with addiction and things like that. So, but understanding that part of it, but while also holding space for these intended adoptive parents who I do know who have been caring for this child and really truly feel, whether it's correct or not, which I do not think it's correct, that they are the best placement. I'm like, well, I need to gently educate you so that your child, potentially this child, doesn't have that trauma later on to then educate you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, you're basically an angel for the kids. Are they all adopting international? What kind of adoptions?
No, they're all domestic.
Kinship's national. Yeah, kinship would be domestic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the one that is in the new so that family that's in a legal battle right now, they're in an old homeschool co-op that we ended up leaving before this happened, so whatever. But then the new co-op that we joined, one of the moms was like, I'm going to be babysitting their new adopted baby, so she'll be with me at all these meetings. So I'm like, oh my gosh, they're adopting a child and then putting it immediately into like 40-hour-a-week stranger care, not stranger because it's the aunt, but still another caregiver. And I'm like, oh, like, this kid's going to be so dysregulated. Like, but then I was like, Jenna, maybe you can gently educate. So we shall see.
Okay, there's a really random thing, because from the astrology point of view, just looking ahead, years ago, looking ahead at how we're going into, this Aquarian age and everything, I was like, it's so sad, but I was like, there's probably going to be a lot of refugees and orphans, and to be able to do it without getting overwhelmed or trying to be like not being a doomsdayer. But it's like,
That's
So-
where I find important community support, even this, like having other adoptees to kind of lean on that understand how, even without words, how difficult the work is that we do. And it's not even like the work that we do, like we're not getting paid for this, nothing. It's the emotional labor that we basically are not born into, but adopted into.
People don't understand that family separation is going to cause more problems for so many more people. That
Yeah.
to prevent all this, we don't need to be creating refugees in 2025.
No, I mean, if you look at the numbers out of places like Congo, it's like millions and millions of kids. Like I don't even know my brain doesn't know what to do with certain things like that are so.
You're an activist, so you are doing more than most
I
people.
got a lot of Aquarian energy, but my activism has mostly been it's been different. I've done teaching and I've done different things. But it has been mostly education, like back even when I was living in New York City, I would go to like an opening at an art gallery, and then I would go to a protest, and then I'd go to see a band play. That was in my 20s. Like, that's what I would do. But just, and the protesting would be about anti-war. I mean, that's what causes all the refugees and the orphans. It's all the same. It's all one issue.
I know. So it is heartbreaking, but I feel like we're all three called to do something. And that's why I love podcasts, because I do feel like we're going to get through this and build a better world, a world that's safe for women and children. I sound so ideological, but why is that ideological? Why isn't that just what everybody wants? I don't know. I don't get it. But talk more about the spiritual side of everything. Like because I don't know. I'm not religious at all, but I do feel like oddly that I have a relationship with Jesus. Some of us are more tapped in, it seems, to like another frequency that is spiritual.
Spiritual themes, they develop over your lifespan. I'm even reading up an article right now. I'm reading about that. So it is something that, if you question of younger people versus midlife people, it just is always evolving.
Yeah.
You just kind of expect it to just maybe older people to have more of it. Yeah. It's changing though, these days. But yeah, when I looked like over the last few years, every time I'll check in with the adoption community, like Adoption Mosaic did a panel about, and I think they called it spirituality, but when I tuned in, it was all religion. I mean, and so, yeah, often people will call it that, but they really, it is based in religion. So those things are changing though. Like there's all these different subgroups now, and the psychology world will kind of is trying to put them in different categories. If you're doing your spirit work, you're aligned.
Oh yeah, alignment. It came up last week in New York.
Not to make it about astrology, but like you both Pisces moons, and that Pisces Virgo axis, and the fact. Sorry.
No, good.
That's what you do.
Integrating the spiritual,
Based.
with all that Piscean energy with Virgo service, like the balance of bringing spirituality as informing service, as informing how you show up in the world to be of use to other people. Like I see like making a documentary about your adoption story as a very vulnerable act of service, like really.
Absolutely.
Thanks. And yes, and I think that's why I wanted to get the information out there. It's because it's not just my story. It's like the primal wind. This is a thing. This is a concept. Like people don't seem to know that it's a thing. But
and then you can't like force people to be spiritual. Like you can't, like spiritual experiences happen.
But do you think that adoptees have a spiritual wound?
That's it's one of my questions. That's like a sub question for my work.
Does that
I
mean
think we should investigate it?
Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of the primal wound. It's debatable. But
what does Jenna, what do you think?
I totally think it, and this is a good time for me to rekindle that quote that I promptly forgot after I said it to you yesterday, Allison, about the fact that like just like in surrogacy, what adoptees, part of our loss is the spiritual bond that we have with our natural mother, our birth mother, our first mother, that we had those 9 months of being part of the same organism, being part of a system that we feel intimately connected to, that there's, we could break it down and talk about like, oh, the science of amniotic fluid smells the same as breast milk. So within that being, like, there's all this stuff to make sure that that baby knows that that's their mother. This is how I survive. So then to have a spiritual connection like that severed, and the experience of the severance being life-threatening, wouldn't it feel like spirituality is a life-threatening risk
Yes.
to engage in again? Because what if that severance becomes life-threatening? What if there is a severance and it becomes life-threatening? How many people have actually, and then we go out in the world and there's so many examples of people being hurt by their spiritual leaders, by their spiritual communities, by their religious leaders, their religious communities, when it all gets muddled together. And it's like, well, there's my proof that my lived experience continues to be relevant, because these adults are hurt by their spiritual community, their spiritual presence as well.
The baby doesn't know they're separate from the mom, not for months after being born. They're one unit. So I do look at the severance and even the emotional severance in the womb. I'm reading Dr. Marcy Axness. I love her work. She's one of my favorites. She writes about the ambivalent womb and what that means. So if the mom is already emotionally checked out because she's, for all different reasons, from the connection, that is a death. I see it as a death. I see, especially that, and one of my main things is like, how do because I was given up at birth. I don't know if I was held. I don't think I was held by my birth mom. I don't know for sure, different things. But I think there also something to be said about being given up immediately at birth and never being held. And just in general, but in general, it's the baby still, even I think up until 6-7 months, doesn't know they're separate from mom. And so I definitely see that as a death. Like a part of you dies. How else can it be? How else would you like experience that? So
It's interesting to think about the 6 or 7 months, like even in the mainstream society, we talk about the 4th trimester as being those initial 3 months after birth. Like you're still very much part of this spiritual womb of your mother's aura. Like there's your comfort, there's your nervous system regulation space, like your healing zone is that bond. And then to not have that recharge, reset connection, it's on a physical level, all of it.
Neurologically, we should be studying our neurological makeup.
And it's, I know that this is like a one example, but my brother is my half biological brother, and he was adopted into the same family as a newborn. So when I was relinquished, it's confirmed by my birth mother that she was coached by Catholic Charities to not hold me or even look at me because it would be easier on her, which I'm sure it wasn't, because when my brother was born 17 months later, she did hold him and everything. And my parents that adopted us said, Jenna, when you came home, you were the perfect baby. You never cried. You never, like, I was completely dissociated and deactivated. Like, that's what that was. And my brother, on the other hand, screamed and cried, colicky baby, not okay, very high needs for the first 2 years of his life. So it's almost like, is there something to be said about not holding a baby causing a dissociated kind of reaction to what connection is? Like there is no baseline for what connection is. And then to have a child that did experience some level of regulation, recognizing, hey, something is missing and I know something's missing. Whereas like where me and Allison possibly weren't held at all, it's like, what is even missing? It's almost like we intimately are familiar that the spiritual bond is not there, but like we didn't experience the physical bond to even connect with that. But across all playing fields, the spiritual severance did occur.
Whoa. That is so a lot. And it's
Yeah.
like they were coaching her to traumatize you more.
Yeah.
So easier. That is so messed up.
And I know that
It's a helpful story.
yeah, I know that's not a unique experience because I've heard other birth mothers share. I was told the less contact, the better. Like their bodies going through the motions of being ready to care and nurture, like milk coming in and, you know, even the exhaustion that comes after giving birth that's meant to keep you laying low and kind of with child, everything like even the healing that happens, like when a baby nurses, the uterus contracts and everything starts coming back together. Like they also are missing out on this benefit of that.
Wow. Didn't they cover that in the movie in the Girls Who Went Away? Didn't they cover that, how they were coached? Like it's almost like the adoption industry was like, because they knew if they held the baby, they might not give him up. I think that was in the, I think that's when I learned that. It was heartbreaking. Yeah. But just going back to the spiritual, what I've been excited about, not my story is that 20 years ago, before I even knew being adopted was a big emotional deal, I didn't know my birth parents' charts, but I had my adopted parents' charts. And I just had noticed some similarities between my chart, my parents' charts. And I made this conclusion, this is why I'm adopted, or this is, you know, one of the reasons, like spiritually, I needed to be with them because they have Virgo. My parents adopted me, have a lot of Virgo, and I am in Virgo school. And because I have Saturn, North Node, and Midheaven in Virgo. So this was my huge epiphany I had at 26. And after that, after I realized adoption was a big deal at age 31, I had different things happen. Like, and I went to see a medium. And I don't know about you, I've seen a couple of mediums over the years. It's always the birth parents. There are ways to get information, to talk to them, to even find out about your birth. I'm actually here in Ithaca because there's an astrologer who does this prenatal astrology to tell you about your time in the womb and your conception and everything. So that's why I'm even here.
Really?
So yeah. And for years I've been interested, but now I'm back on the East Coast, so I'm meeting with him, and he's a lot older now, so I really needed the opportunity. But anyway, so I could go on. That's what I'm interested in as far as hope and repair, and just I find that exciting and I guess that's in my chart. I love when spiritual stuff happens. That's what I love. So yeah.
Wow.
I'm fortunate to have all charts. I have both of my birth parents' charts.
Yeah.
I have both of my adoptive parents' charts. And it's funny because my adoptive dad, who identifies as the least spiritual person of all of them, held out for a long time. And I think it's because he knew deep down the importance and the sacredness of what an astrology chart. He was like, oh, I was born in this town. Actually, this town, like he wouldn't even tell me the town. And then finally, like a year and a half ago at Christmas dinner, he was like, I was born at this time at this hospital. And I was like, what? I was like, I need to leave the holiday and go stare at this for a long time.
I don't have birth times. They don't do birth times in New York City for my adopted parents, and other parents don't. I don't have any times for anybody.
Well, in my understanding and staring at these charts, I've consulted with multiple astrologers on it, different lenses to look at this. There is overlap in all of our charts, and it's very clear that part of me stepping into my mission was the adoption piece had to happen in order for me to move into the healing that needed to happen for not only myself, but for the generations before on both sides, but very, very strongly on my birth family side. So it's like my adoptive parents became a catalyst for the work that would help my birth families.
This is what I think is going on. And this is the leap. So this is the spiritual leap that takes some trust, because if you're just going to be stuck in the fuck the adoption, everything, like just stay in that doesn't allow for some higher self wisdom to come through. And we can do both. We can be activists and see the higher wisdom, right?
Yeah.
But you can't, I don't know if you can convince other people. I don't know how that works, so.
Yeah, it's hard to be like, it treads on that, like, everything happens for a reason. Be grateful,
Oh,
which can be really triggering to some people. But the
yeah.
reframe of it is like, again, like your soul has a mission, and the things that you're experiencing, they're framing out opportunities for you to move into that mission. Like there is something more than us at play that will potentially help us to fulfill this higher order of what we're here to do.
Yeah, great. That's a great place to wrap it up too. But
Yeah.
this was great.
Yeah, this was wonderful.
Yeah, thanks, Allison, for
Thanks.
jumping on. the
You
last-
kidding? This is amazing, you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, well,
This
we
is
do
like,
it whenever. So
Every 10 days. And
yeah, thank you, Jenna, for making this happen. And Autumn, it's a pleasure. So yeah,
we
just
should do this again.
but
I told Allison about Elsie's event in November 14th, and Autumn's like,
you
trying
need to remind me.
I will. I'll
Send me again. I have too many
will.
things yet to. Yeah.
Perfect. But Autumn's thinking about coming too, like trying to make it happen. So it would be cool
Oh,
if we all
that's the
got.
text reminder that I need to figure out.
Let me know for sure, because I'll stick around. I won't leave the Northeast. You said mid-November, because I could wait. I could totally wait till then. Yeah.
7 weeks.
Okay.
Awesome.
Really? That'd be great.
I mean,
we'll do a live podcast.
Sure.
Heck yeah. I'll
Okay.
block out my whole weekend. Let's just hang.